How to fix dual boot complications during OS setup. Have you ever tried to set up two operating systems on one computer and faced some tricky issues? Dual boot complications can be frustrating, but understanding the boot process can help you navigate these challenges. Let's break it down step by step. First, let's talk about the bootloader. This is a small program that runs when your computer starts up and allows you to choose which operating system to boot into. Common bootloaders include the new Grand Unified Bootloader for Linux and the Windows Boot Manager. Problems often arise when one operating system overwrites or misconfigures the bootloader of the other, especially after updates. One common issue is a missing boot menu. Sometimes, your system might boot directly into one operating system without showing the bootloader menu. If this happens, you can access the basic input-output system or unified extensible firmware interface settings. Change the boot priority to the Linux bootloader, like Ubuntu. You usually enter the boot menu by pressing keys like F8, F12, or the delete key. Another frequent problem is when Windows updates overwrite the bootloader for Linux. This can make Linux inaccessible. To fix this, boot from a live Linux USB drive. From there, you can reinstall or update the bootloader using commands. Tools like Super Grub Disk can also help recover the bootloader. Incorrect partition installation can also lead to boot failures. If you accidentally install one operating system over the partition of another, you might need to reinstall the affected operating system or restore partitions from backups. Time discrepancies can occur when dual booting Windows and Linux. This is due to the different ways each operating system handles hardware clock settings. You can fix this by configuring one operating system to use either coordinated universal time or local time consistently. Now, let's discuss firmware settings. Ensure that UEFI mode is enabled and legacy mode is disabled if both operating systems support UEFI. Mixing these modes can cause boot issues. Secure boot can also interfere with Linux bootloaders, so you might need to disable it for some distributions. Keeping your firmware updated can improve compatibility as well. To repair dual boot issues, use a live USB of your Linux distribution to boot into a rescue environment. Run commands to reinstall or update the bootloader. From Windows, you can use the command prompt with administrator rights to set the bootloader path if necessary. If your bootable USB is not recognized, double-check the USB creation process to ensure it matches your system's boot mode. Lastly, consider that Windows updates can repeatedly disrupt the Linux bootloader. Regular backups and recovery media are wise to have on hand. Some users opt for virtual machines or the Windows subsystem for Linux to avoid dual boot complications altogether. Proper partitioning and careful installation order, usually installing Windows first and then Linux, can help reduce risks. By understanding how different operating systems manage the boot process, you can troubleshoot and fix dual boot complications more effectively.